are being penalized for not having minimum balance. That should be clear. There are around 65 crore the basic savings bank account holders in this country, including of 52 crore Jandan accounts. So none of them are 65 crores are not being touched for penalizing you didn't have minimum balance in the account. So, in addition to this, the minimum, the Jandan account holders are also given accident insurance of 2 lakh rupees and also a RuPay card with no additional charge for the RuPay card. Overdraft facility of about 10,000 rupees is also extended to them. Not only are we not penalizing them for not having a minimum balance, but we also give them this facility. So for other types of saving accounts, of course, the banks will decide based on what their boards approve. So they are not the basic accounts, they are not the Jandan accounts. So I just want to highlight it, but for whoever they collect this minimum charge breaching, meaning you didn't have a minimum balance and therefore I'm penalizing you, information on minimum balance requirement is indicated, intimated upfront to the account holder. So it's not as if I can open a non-PM Jandan account, a non-basic whatever account, and then say you didn't tell me but you're collecting minimum. No. Upfront, I'm told your minimum balance requirement is this. You'll have to maintain it. If you don't, we'll penalize you. It is said upfront by the banks. The largest public sector bank, sir, State Bank of India, as per its board approved policy, does not apply any minimum balance charges at all. So let's put this in perspective. So then, Honorable Member Shakti Singh Gohilji had raised this issue about you increase customs on plastic used by common citizens. On the other hand, you reduce customs duty on platinum. On platinum, I've explained as to why the duty was reduced. But I want to highlight the fact that it is not on plastic that we have raised the custom duty. It's not plastic. We have raised it on the commonly used plastic item, BCD, remains unchanged. What has been raised? The basic customs duty has been increased from 10% to 25% only on PVC flex films that are used for making flex banners. Flex banners are made with flex PVC films. Only that has been, the BCD has been increased. Why did we do that, sir? In fact, many states have already banned it. Andhra Pradesh and Maharashtra have already banned the use of PVC flex. PVC flex banners, sir, are non-biodegradable and they are prone to leaching of PVC into the soil or water, and therefore they release toxic fumes. This we didn't want, and therefore we've raised only on that film, PVC film, which is used for flex. I've explained as to why platinum benefits from a duty decrease. Vijay Sai Reddy also, Honorable Member, also spoke about the STT rates and reminded that if you had capital gains, there was a promise given once, long time ago when it was introduced, that STT will be now there for some time, but if capital gains is there, STT need not be there. But today, we have kept it there because, one, we are able to trace people who are big ticket spending. It helps in tracking, and it also helps in widening the tax base. Because once you levied a TDS or a particular tax, then when the opportunity comes to file your return, you'll anyway adjust this and file it. It's not an additional tax. But when you do this, you are able to bring people who are spending bigger amounts into the tax net. And that's why it continues. It's not for revenue considerations so much. Sir, I can't see Member Sanjay Singh, Honorable Member, who raised a lot of issues. But one or two things which I want to highlight, sir. Recovery. He expanded on haircuts, read a list of material. They are not classified material. They come out because NCLT puts it out or the resolution professional puts it out. They come out in public. We don't waive, and these are court processes. NCLT will have to stamp after the resolution professional decides on between the two parties as to how this will be executed. So recovery proceedings are part of a judicial process. The resolution plans are approved by a transparent judicial process. The defaulting promoter are not allowed to rebid for their own company, so that we don't have them coming through the back door and getting it for lesser price now. These are all preventing wrong business practices. So I would like to highlight that all the details of the various cases are already available in the IBBI portal. So over and above what he read out, Honorable Member Sanjay Singh can go to the IBBI portal and take all the detail. They are there for everybody to see. IBC actually has brought in a very big shift, paradigm shift, in the debtor-creditor relationship, sir, and it provides for a streamlined one-stop solution for resolving insolvencies, keeping in mind the spirit of IBC, which this Parliament has passed, is not take company towards liquidation, keeping them as going concerns. So when you're doing that, the resolution professional arrives at a number which is going to be helping that institution to run. And let me also say, sir, most of all these are a result of what happened through the phone banking. And we are trying to come and solve these problems so that banks which suffered, the twin balance sheet problem, which was all there between 2013, 14, and to an extent even in 15, people telling us twin balance. Sorry, sir.
I gave you a good relief. Regarding phone banking,
Yes, sir.
I inquired last time, but this time I avoided asking about oil bonds. I studied it myself. So that question was not raised, at least from the chair.
Thank
so
you, sir.
What are you saying now? This is new.
Sir, I'm saying that when companies are on the verge of collapse and an IBC process brings in a resolution professional and decides the worth of the company and then puts it out for bidding or calls for tenders for the company to be taken over, the existing defaulting promoters never given a chance. After which, there are processes, like for instance, banks nowadays go through the process of giving the bad debt with a proper standard operating procedure to a company. The the name is slipping me, sir. It's a company which takes over the bad debt, gives them a paper, and after when it is all sorted out, it is put out on sale, then the bank gets the rest of its due and its account. Till then, if it hadn't happened in a RCL process, if it hadn't happened, the banks would every year have to put money in the name of provisioning till such a time that money is collected. So this myth that is being created, waiving off, writing off, no, it is a process through which banks and the burden that the banks have, burden that the banks have to provide for it, will now be actually given away to the NRCL, and NARCL then takes over that company, restores it to some order, and finds a buyer. Then the money is paid back to these companies. If this is not happening, and it is actually going in the name of liquidation, then the professional sits and sorts it out, gets the NCLT to review it, and stamps the amount which has been agreed. So there is no role of the government here. It is a court process. So I want, there are studies done by IIM Ahmedabad, which has looked at 3 years of post-resolution. Their average sales rose by 76%. Employee count recovered, and nearly pre-bankruptcy levels have been reached by most of these companies which were given off like that. Average total assets rose to about 50%, and capital expenditure has increased to 130%. So the resolution that he's talking about, and claiming all this is a huge haircut, I want to please ask honorable member to study what caused this. Then he'll know whether with this resolution we are doing a better thing, or if he had left it high and dry, whether the value of these companies would have been ever realized, or they all would have become junk in a junkyard. What is going to help the economy? We need to understand that. But coming from Honorable Member Sanjay Singh, I am unable to resist the temptation, and therefore I will have to say.
Ma'am, help if you can resist. Because if it is temptation, then the best and most wholesome is to resist it.
To resist it, sir?
Yeah.
No, but I would, for the benefit of the House, say it, sir.
That yes.
Here's an honorable member of parliament who's saying this. I'm not even talking about the present situation in his party, but before they won the election. And I say this with a sense of responsibility and a pain in my heart. Didn't they say they had a sack full of evidence against that former Delhi chief minister, a lady chief minister? A sack full of evidence. We can send her to the jail. That much material I have on her corruption. I want to ask, where is that sack now? Where is that sack full of evidence? It was all false claims. They went on speaking about it and somehow distracted the minds of the people. Today, they are talking about those companies for whom resolution is being made possible so that the economy can benefit. I don't know whether the sack full of evidence was evidence at all. Assume they were evidence. Why are you not using it now? And this party, which Honorable Sanjay Singh represents, didn't do any of that, gave false promises. If anything, I would like to ask him, it's an allegation which is now in the court. How much loss has the Delhi's government exchequer has faced because of the faulty liquor policy? It is a matter of the court. But I'm asking, you're worried about the haircut? You're worried about how much government of India and the public money is being lost because of the haircut? I'm asking, how much did Delhi government lose because of your faulty policy, liquor policy? So when this is there before honorable member, I would want him to have some kind of a discretion to understand what exactly is going on. Sir, finally, there's been this point about this cancer medicine, about which, of course, even the first speaker, Vivek ji, mentioned. But Harish Biran of the IU, you raised the point about the cancer drugs should be made custom duty-free, and all cancer-related machines should also be exempted. I want to say, sir, our approach since 2021 has been that we progressively relieve all the life-saving drugs and medicines which are particularly imported for personal use. We've already exempted all of them. And there are many more steps taken. That particular name, I remember, Zolzheng Ma and Wiltip So, have been the spinal muscular atrophy, about which Honorable Member Vivek Tanka spoke, have all been now removed from the burden of customs duty, sir. So I suppose with that, I would have addressed most of the issues, except for the 4 questions of Jairam Ramesh, sir. The 4 engines, about which 1 engine I had already spoken. Private investment is stagnating, is his feeling. I want to highlight the fact, sir. Private sector investment has been increasing since the pandemic. It is rising from 3.8 lakh crore in the pandemic year 2020-21 to 4.9 lakh crore in 21-22 to 6.1 lakh crore in 22-23. So gross fixed capital formation, which is an indicator of investment and new value added to the economy, it is expected to be the largest GDP growth driver in this year. And therefore, with a percentage contribution of 44.9%, the GFCF is a real instrument through which we are seeing faster growth since the pandemic induced contraction setting. Also, sir, by private non-financial corporations, the gross fixed capital formation increased from 24.17 lakh crore in 21-22 to 28.95 lakh crore in 22-23. 19.8% increase at current prices. So that answers about one of the engines, sir. The other engine I had already spoken about. I'll talk about the manufacturing in particular. That is by itself, it is part of the engines which have to work. Gross value added at 14.3%, and that is in February financial year 23, and an output share of 35.2% during the same period. Manufacturing gross value addition grew by 9.9% in 23-24. So the high frequency indicators performance, such as the HSBC India Purchase Manager Index PMI for manufacturing, which has been expansionary for 36 consecutive months, which is 3 years, it is expanding in the expanding territory only. This has to be contrasted, sir, with the situation under the UPA, when manufacturing activity stagnated for 8 consecutive months in 2013, that is May 13 to December 13, it was only in contraction territory. Whereas now, we are seeing for 36 months, it is only in the expansion territory. And it is therefore no surprise, sir, that in the budget speech, interim budget speech of 2014-15, the year when elections happened and the regime was changed, meaning government was changed, the finance minister then had said, and I quote, "Manufacturing is the Achilles heel of the Indian economy. The deceleration in investment in manufacturing is particularly worrying," unquote. That's the quote then. Whereas now I'm showing you how GVA, PMI, all of them are doing well. So we've also come up with a PLI scheme for 13 sunrise sectors. Even that is bearing results. Telecom, particularly telephone manufacturing, I don't need to elaborate on that, sir. Defense production is another area in which we are really doing very well. Under our government, total defense exports during 2004-5 to 13-14, which was earlier government, was only 4,312 crores, whereas what it is now, total defense export is 88,319 crore for the period between 14-15 and 20-20. The last point, sir, is the private consumption. Is that stagnating? No, it's not stagnating. It is actually, if you take the indicators, sales of passenger vehicles increased by 8.4% year on year. Highest ever mark is 4.22 million. The Indian aviation industry has recorded its highest ever domestic passenger traffic for a half year. Between January and June 2024, Indian airlines, meaning airlines in India, carried 79.35 million passengers. It is also reported that the rural growth, particularly of two-wheeler industry, domestic two-wheeler, because if I talk of passenger vehicles, they'll say, oh, you're talking of SUVs. No, I'm talking of two-wheeler. The domestic two-wheeler industry for the year 24 witnessed a total sales volume of 17.97 million units, reflecting a growth of 13%. Three-wheeler sales, which is largely used by small businesses, registered best ever sales of nearly 6,32,500 units, which is a 57% growth. All this cannot happen if the rural demand is not high. So I think I've largely answered most of his questions. Rural wages are not stagnating. Rural wages rose at about 5% every month year on year, 23-24. Agriculture's wage rates have grown it grew by 7.4% for men and 7.7% for women. So with that, I think, sir, I've answered most of the questions. No, thank you very much, sir.
I have taken note of. I'll go. Honorable members, normal practice is that after there is reply, I go to the next item. Since the Honorable Minister has volunteered to respond to the issue related to levy of GST on policies, I will give that extraordinary permission with a caveat that this will not be a precedent. Otherwise, the good gesture of the Honorable Finance Minister will always be a problem for any chair that at that point of time, this was allowed. So before I call upon Derek O'Brien, sir, my request is specific pointed issue with respect to levy of GST on policies. Once, no, Arvind. Anyone disturbing, we have reached a consensus outside also. Anyone who disturbs a speaker forfeits several privileges. Please, only Derek O'Brien and the Honorable Minister to respond, no one else. I'll come to you, John Bittas, later on. Yes, sir.
You're absolutely right. When you said that after the minister responds, extraordinary that the member of the opposition can ask for a clarification.
I didn't say that. Let me be clear.
Or words to that effect.
No, 1 second.
Yes,
because 1 second. I'll give you. What I said is very categorical. What I say is, number one, this is not a practice emanating from chair. Number two, it does not create a precedent. Number three, it has happened because the Honorable Minister has volunteered. And number four, because the chair has agreed. It does not lie with any of members here. So that is clearly understood. You may now ask pointed question or questions.
Before I ask that, sir, all of us sitting here also indulged for 1 hour, 12 minutes. We made 3 attempts to request the minister to yield, and through you, sir, because the minister did not yield, we did not press for it, we sat down. That was also a precedent that the minister would yield. But, and it's fair enough, she's more comfortable in a flow of 1 hour, 12 minutes. We did not push for the minister yielding, sir.
Yes, good. One second.
God.
No, I love you. In this also, since we are moving in a, one second. Honorable members, since we are moving in a decorous groove, we did excellently. But the best practice still would be that if the Honorable Minister is on legs and someone wants to intervene, raising of the hand is good enough. Standing is against the rules. So you said then you took the seat. So let us follow those. Now, Derek O'Brien can ask what he seeks to ask with the Honorable Minister straight, through me.
Through you, sir. Sir, 45 crore Indians, let me finish. I did not disturb anybody.
No one can interrupt. I'm here.
Thank you, sir.
No one will interrupt you.
45 crore Indians, we call, are the middle class, affected by this 18% GST from health and medical insurance. This is not something which was brought here by Ms. Nirmala Sitharaman this year. I conceded that in my speech. So this is not we win, you lose, we win. No. This was there since 2017 when the shift took place.
She said, Honorable Minister.
Yes, it was there even before. It is not about what happened before 2014 or not. Whatever be that, it has been brought up this time in Parliament. Unfortunately, the Finance Minister used a phrase today, but we can maybe consider and remove it, quote unquote, some chief minister. She's more than some chief minister. Sir, some chief minister is a little dismissive, but I'm not making a point because it's not about point. Sir, hear me out. Sir, please hear me.
Please. No, honorable members, please. And now please ask the question.
Right, sir.
Ask the question.
So for these 45 crore Indians who want this to be taken out, which was there from 2017, This is our first point. We also know a little that this can't be done in Parliament. It has to be done to the GST Council, and that's my point. And that is where the minister has told us the composition of the GST Council, which we are also aware. But I want to ask the minister with these 3 sentences, is there anything which I'm saying which is incorrect about the GST Council in its present form? 1, the union government has a weightage of 1/3 voting